campeonato del baloncesto superior nacional de Puerto Rico. Destronan a los vaqueros de Bayamón y son los nuevos reyes del baloncesto superior nacional de Puerto Rico. La liga más dura de todo el Caribe. No más, no más, no más en esta temporada 2023. Tiene nombre y apellido. Carolina campeón.
Increíble la hazaña, muy feliz de ser parte del club usted del BCN, tremendo trabajo por la directiva y el final no pudo haber quedado mejor. Javier, es un final perfecto para hacer una película de Netflix. Carolina se levanta con el campeonato, su primer campeonato, muy contento por los muchachos.
Cuando parecía que no, Miguel, un equipo que terminó.
¿Qué es la que hay, corillo? Bienvenidos a JonaTV. Esta es la primera entrevista que estaré haciendo en este canal, primera de muchas. Así que bienvenido. Le voy a estar presentando al invitado de hoy, nada más y nada menos que recientemente campeón del baloncesto superior nacional de los Gigantes de Carolina. Señoras y señores, con ustedes, Alex Frankie. What's up, Alex? How you doing, man?
I'm good.
How's vacation treating you?
It's treating me really well, you know. After a long season and you complete the final goal, the first thing you want to do is kind of lay back, Jokic style, you know.
You're riding horses?
No, I ain't riding horses now. Plenty of them on the island though.
So I saw a video of you like drinking coconuts the other day. That was a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. That's right in my backyard. I have a big like palm tree that produces so many coconuts. And I always tell myself I'm going to learn how to do it, you know, like I'm not going to have this coconut tree and not know how to bring water from it. So now I'm a professional at that. So that's my all-season hobby.
Okay. You got to pour a little whiskey on it. 2 ounces of whiskey and you're good.
That's his drink. So when I do that, I bottle some up and then I hand them out to my neighbors because that's
That's good. So Alex, recently you extended the contract 2 years more with Carolina. How you feel about it?
I feel really good. You know, I'm excited. You know, it's a place, it's home. It's home to me. Carolina always felt good. It's security. I just feel good being with the guys and the organization. They gave me another opportunity and I'm just excited to get started, actually.
I got to take you one last second. We all saw the intro. We all saw the block. Goes to that play if you remember it. I want to talk about it.
Gary had a kind of like almost an ISO on the left wing, and he got by. I'm not sure who was defending. Maybe it was Tremont defending him at the time. And I think he thought that he had a clear lane, but I saw it coming the whole time. And I know Gary. You know, I played with Gary when I was in San Germán, and I know his aggressiveness when he goes to the basket. And I just timed him up perfectly, you know. And me and him we always chit chat back and forth during the game. So it was even better because that's my brother right there. But during the game we're at war. So that moment was really fun.
Yeah, you really screaming at his face.
Yeah.
So if that after the block, Mr. Water got the ball, and we all know how he was gonna play. So the whole way was an ISO play.
Yeah,
so
it was.
Get that three.
It was really give Tremont the ball and get out the way.
So basically that was the playoff. Give Tremont the water and.
Exactly. It's Trey being Trey. You know, there's some things that you can't even call a play for. It's just natural talent and a natural ability that he has. And, we give him free range to be him.
Okay. Now that we're talking about Señor Aguas, I got to tell you, how is to be a teammate of a player like Thermal Waters? Like, he has the ball 90% of the time. 90% of the time, the play goes through him. So tell us, how do you prepare game by game with Waters on the lineup?
Yeah, it's like unique. Trey's a unique player. You know, he's special. And when you have a special, unique player like that, you got to kind of just give them free range. You know how James Harden said, like, I am a system. Well, that's Trey. You know, Trey is our system, and a player like myself, it's easy for me to kind of play off of him because I'm a player that doesn't necessarily need the ball in my hands to be effective. So I can do other things, and I'm just ready. Like I know if I make the right reads, the right cuts, he's gonna find me. But at the same time, I'm okay with him being him, and you know, taking control of the game.
That's basically the perfect reason why Carlos is the great coach to Carolina, because he knows the players. And I remember when he won with Aguada, he did basically the same thing with Andujar and the point guards. Like basically, the point guard takes over the game. He finds the cuts. He finds the perfect place, and basically that's how he works with Waters, right?
Like Trey is like that with Trey, and for most of us, he gives us freedom within the offense. Like he trusts us. And like I said, with a player like Trey, you can't put Trey on a leash or you take away from his game. He's such a special talent that you got to kind of live within the bad. You know what I mean? Because he's going to do more good than bad. The bad might make you scratch your head a little bit, but at the end of the day, he's such a talented player, and Carlos has faith in all of us, especially in him, that he lets us go and gives us like, you know, just the right amount of freedom so we can play our games.
Okay, so well, taking the thing, let's go back to the finals and the playoff. You guys didn't have a good record. I think it was like 9-13, something like that. Let's talk about Mike Scott, because he was a big factor during the last 8 games of the season and the playoff run. Do you guys knew that Mike Scott will be since the beginning of the season? That was something that you talk about during the season, that it was a possibility that he came.
Yeah, like for us players, like we really don't know the organizational's like management decisions until they're really there. When Mike came, you know, we were all just okay. Here's another player. I knew about Mike from his NBA. He played for the Sixers. I'm from Pennsylvania originally, so I knew about Mike, and me and Mike around the same age. I knew about him in college as well, so I knew what type of player Mike was. So you know, when he came on the team, we just had to try to get some familiarity with each other, because you know when new imports come, this is not okay. You just can't plug people in and it's automatically going to work right away. You got to kind of, you know, gain chemistry and get to know each other on the court, and that takes time. And sometimes in the BS, running 3-4 games, sometimes in less than 2 weeks, you got 4 games. So it's kind of growing pains, and I think that's what we did. We added Mike, and I don't know who our import was at the time, but we had to go a little bit games. And
Runner March, I think, was the other import.
Yeah, so at that time we were going a little growing pains, but when it clicked, it clicked.
It clicked. Very good. It clicked. It was the finals. They even do talk about him being the best import player in the history of BSN. And there's a talk about it, because if you see last 8 games and the playoff run, like he was a big impact for the Carolina in your playoff run, your championship run.
Yeah, I can easily say that he's definitely been one of the best imports that has come to the island since I've been in the league. You know, I think of a guy like a Mike Harris. He had that type of impact. Harris was with Ponce, you know. That was the type of impact Mike had with us. And he's rightfully deserving to be in that conversation as one of the best imports that come through.
So let's talk about your first years in BSN. You debuted with Mayagüez, Los Indios de Mayagüez. And I have a funny story. A big boy of yours, Clemente, told me a story about you. Basically, it was like, Mike, nobody knew about you. So talk me about that year.
Yeah, that year was really interesting. I was actually in Spain. I was in France at first that year, then I was in Spain. I found out about the BSN draft. I entered it, not really knowing anything about the league, because I didn't grow up watching the BSN or anything. I didn't really know much about the league. So when I got picked by Mayagüez and I got here, I wasn't familiar with anyone. At first, Eddie wasn't playing me at all, you know? Like I knew, and the funny thing, I got to the team, I actually knew Ramon because Ramon, I played against him in college. I actually knew Ricky Sanchez because back when I was in high school, I went down to IMG Academy to train, and Ricky was actually getting ready for the pre-draft. So I actually watched Ricky get ready for the pre-draft NBA. So I had familiarity with guys. But when I got there, Eddie didn't play me at first. So I'm like, how does he play, you know? But when he finally gave me that opportunity, I always tell young players, like, you got to make the most of your opportunity because you never know when your name was going to get called. Like, I went from not playing at all because I just think he wasn't familiar with me at first. And they were in first place. He had something going. But when he called my number, if I didn't have the right mind frame, the story of Alex Franklin doesn't happen, you know? So just off of that, I got the opportunity and I made the best out of it. And the rest was really history, you know?
Yeah, you really make the best out of it. Take us back about that playoff run on 2010.
2012, right?
No,
2012.
12. Sorry, my bad.
It was unique, man. It was fun because everything was brand new. Everything was brand new to me. I'm seeing different players. We had a hell of a team. You got to think. I had vets, Dante Smith. I had Kevin Hamilton. I had Carlos Rivera. RIP to Corky. I had Corky. We had such a deep team, and it just made it so much easier to play and to fit in and just to do what I can do. The playoff run was fun, man. Back then they used to have the round robin tournament. So before the end, you had to go through a round robin with all the teams for seedings, and then if you made the top seedings, then you automatically qualified for the semifinals. So then the semifinals we played Bayamon, which was a hell of a series.
Intense.
Game 6. And the main reason why we won that game was because, you know, playing in Bayamon is hard. And game 6, we were going to Bayamon, but something was going on in the gym, and it had to move the game to the Choli. Choli on a neutral court, and our fans came out. And, you know, the Choli's so big, it doesn't feel like, you know, that Bayamon atmosphere. And I think that really gave us the edge.
Okay. Gotta ask you, you're being finals that year, you're playing neutral places, but this year the finals and the past years they have been all in the same place. Like if in Arecibo, it's in Arecibo. If it's in Carolina, it's in Carolina. Do you think like if the series go to game 7, if you take it to the Choliseo, you will have a sold out like 18,000 people going to the game?
I think so. The basketball culture in Puerto Rico is so huge. You know, if it was a game, you know, everybody was fighting for tickets all series. You know, it's the hottest ticket on the island. So if we go to the Choli for game 7, 2 powerhouse teams, that thing's going to be sold out. I believe in the fans in Puerto Rico. Like the culture here is a basketball culture. So they're wanting something like that. Sure.
So we're talking about basketball culture. You have been playing in Uruguay, Argentina, Spain, France. How do you compare our people, our fans, to the fans worldwide?
Man, the thing about basketball fans worldwide, it's just a different experience than, you know, US fans and like, you know, like the NBA fans. Like the culture of basketball is just such a unique thing on every other place. You know, the fans here are rowdy, they're passionate, and it's just like those in Europe, and even more so. If you ever see those crazy videos,
I love it.
like the Serbian, like the Serbian team or Turkey, like you see them lighting flares. Now we don't do all that. We don't light in the stands, but we're right. We're just like the step right below the lighting the flares in the stands. But the fans here are the best, man. I really enjoy the passion that they show, and they give us so much energy. Like I don't even think they realize how much energy they give to the players.
Yeah, here's my point. I have gone to games like there's 200, 300 people, not even in the thousands, and it's a small court, but it feels like there's thousands of people there. Like our lungs are very strong. I think that is part of our fan culture.
Yeah, San German's court is a perfect example of that. San German is super small. It's almost like, but you feel like there's 10,000 people in there
Mm-hmm.
when Congo run, So the fans, it just gives credit to the show, like how great the fans is for the culture of basketball here on the island.
I love how small that San Germán court is, and the TV is like on the court. I love it because it takes you like to college basketball. You play college, so you know how small the courts are and how the public is like on top of you.
Absolutely, like that feeling is like no other. That pressure. It feels like everybody's right on top of you, and that's like one of the best basketball atmospheres to play in as a player. Like those are the situations you dream about, like being in a sold out crowd right on top of you, game coming down to the wire, and you get that type of feel, especially over there.
Okay, so let's keep continuing about this year, and let's talk about how you guys improved during the season, because you were like dead last until like a month to go to from the season, and then my Scott came in and you guys like roll. Like if it looked like you were waiting for my Scott.
Yeah, like I think, like I said, it's a long season. There's changes that happen. We had at first, I think our imports were Sheldon Mack
Yes.
and Earl. So we get with that. Then Mack gets hurt, and we changed Mack for Victor Root. So now, like I said, basketball is not 2K. Like it takes time to gain some chemistry. So now we gain some chemistry with Victor Root and Earl Clark. So as we got that, now Treadmont comes. So now we got to change it up again, because now we're adding Treadmont, but now people are going to different positions. Like now we do Joseph Soto at point guard, but now we got to get adjusted to Treadmont's point guard. I just feel like as the season goes on and you're making changes, you're adding players, taking away from players, it takes a little bit of time to gain that, that chemistry on the court. And as soon as Tremont came, a couple of weeks later, George came. So it's like you're setting up offenses for a certain personnel, and then you got to change them all over again because other personnel's coming. So literally, like it's a growing process throughout the entire season when you're making changes, especially in this league. You're making changes. Players are coming in late. Imports are being changed. So it just all happened to just all come together at the perfect time. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
Say like people they're worried about oh, we gotta be first place, gotta be in first place in the regular season. It really means nothing for advantage, but you gotta get in, and then once you're in, then take care. You know what I mean? Like we never played for we gotta be in first place in the regular season, because at the end of the day, you can be first place in the regular season and lose first round if you so that's all it is. It's really about gaining chemistry throughout the season. It's such a long season, so many changes. And peaking at the right time, I think that's what we did.
You guys take out the first seed of the other Quebradilla. So and they got the MVP and defensive player of the year from the league, and you guys took them out in 5 games or 6?
I think it was 6. I think it was 4-2.
Yeah, and that was a good series. I went to one game in Carolina and it was good. And I went one game in the series of Why Now, which is the one that I took the video.
Yeah. No, Kevs was Whiteside. So those are 2 NBA talents. Whiteside historically known in the NBA, for blocking shots. Here, defensive player of the year. It was a good matchup for us, but we just we knew if we knew we got in, that we had a favorable matchup as far as personnel was concerned, because Quebradillas wasn't as deep as we were. So we just try to neutralize Brandon Knight, and you got to make Whiteside be more than just a guy that blocks shots. He got to score. He got to block shots. He got to do everything, because we're just focusing on Brandon Knight. One series.
So let's talk about that series. You guys got Quebradilla first seed. Everybody said that Quebradilla is gonna sweep you. They're gonna go 4-0, 4-1. How that builds you inside as a basketball player and say, let's shut up this mouth.
Yeah, it's funny because that's all the outside noise, and as a player, you tend not to even listen to that because inside the locker room, we know what we have. Like there was always confidence amongst ourselves because, like I said, we know what we have in the locker room. So the fans and stuff, they talk and they say, "Oh, Kevs is this," they hear that. But we knew we had a favorable matchup versus Kevs because of our personnel versus their personnel. They're not as deep as us. So we came in there with a great game to kind of neutralize Brandon Knight and kind of force Whiteside to be the everything guy, kill us by two, by two, by two, because, Whiteside was going to have big games.
Mm-hmm.
But Brandon Knight had big games. He really can change the game in all different aspects of it, with assists, with scoring, with the way his shooting ability. So we couldn't have Brandon Knight and Whiteside go off. So the game plan really was, all right, we're going to take out Brandon Knight and let's make everybody else kill us. So I just think we had a great game plan going in there, a bunch of confidence in ourselves, with the game plan and our personnel, and we just believed in ourselves and got it done.
So you take out Quebradilla, now it's Guaynabo with DeMarcus Cousins. You knew that DeMarcus Cousins is not just any center. He can play ball. Like he literally can ball. So how was the game plan to concentrate on getting DeMarcus Cousins out? Because you got DeMarcus Cousins, Gary Brown, Mitch Grigg. It was Guaynabo was a deep team. Like it was one of the favorites to win.
Yeah. Guaynabo. I believe the Guaynabo series was like the championship series right there because it was just a clash of two titans, clash of styles. The difference between Guaynabo and Kevs, the biggest difference, Kevs was such a slower paced team because they would kind of walk it down, dump it into Whiteside, 2 by 2 by 2. We went from that to Guaynabo, which was a track meet. Gary Brown pushing it off the floor, pushing it off the rim, makes or misses. Gary's up the court in 5 seconds. Boom. Jayshawn Page lighting it up. They run and gun. They don't run any plays. It's run and gun, put the ball in Gary's hands. They run a few sets, but for the most part, they're trying to get out in transition. And then worst comes to worst, let's give it to Boogie Cousins, who's only the most talented game. But man, that series was a war. That won game 6. That went all the way to game 6 as well. Or game
yeah. No, it went to 7 in Guaynabo when they had the miss up of the tickets.
That went to game 7. That series, I'm telling you, was a flat out war. To us, that felt like the championship right there because it was like, if we can survive this, we like our chances in the next round against whoever we're going to play.
Do you guys knew that you were going to play against Bayamon in the final? Like you had an idea, like that was the matchup. If you guys,
like I know Bayamon. I know this league. I know it's hard to beat Bayamon in Bayamon. I knew a team was going to have a challenge trying to do that, and Bayamon was the defended champs, so they have the experience, they have the coaching. So I knew probability we were going to see Bayamon at the end of it. Like that's what we were expecting from day one, that Bayamon was going to come out that side. We were really just focused on, all right, we can't worry about them. We got to focus on these two juggernauts in front of us. But once you go through a Whiteside, then you go through a Gary Brown and DeMarcus Cousins, Jayshawn Page led team. When we got to the championship, it was just we were playing at a different level. We had to go through a way harder path than they did, and that's no disrespect to the teams they had to play. It's just we went through the top 2 teams right there, like one back to back. So it was cool.
So I gotta take you a little sentimental here. Let's talk about the video of you hugging your family and how much that meant, because you had recently a couple tough years in the league. We're gonna talk about it, but take us to that moment. You just won the championship, and it was the roughly 9 rough years since you last win it. You're hugging your wife, your daughter, your mom. So take us to that moment. How much your family meant to you this year, especially.
Man, people ask me all the time, like, what the championship was better, and I tell them it was this one because of that right there. Like when I first came in the league, I was, just a young 22, 23-year-old kid at that, so I won a championship with nothing. But to win a championship with my family, with my wife, with my daughter, with my best friend since grade school, that's my brother, the other guy you see, me hug, Jeff Sparrow. That's my brother, like we grew up together. To have all of them here at that moment and, kind of just, embrace it, just embrace that what just happened. It meant everything. It's priceless. It's something that you really can't describe because it's such a feeling of, I don't even know. It's undescribable, man. So it meant so much for them to be there and for us to win the championship and just to be able to embrace them because they know my journey and to see it, all come to that moment, it felt amazing.
Okay, 2020, you almost won it with Quebradilla, and it was a tough year because you got traded from Guayama to Quebradilla. I think that was it, right?
Well, I got traded the first in the bubble. I was with Kebs, and then the following year I went from Kebs to Guayama.
Okay, so let's talk about that free agency with Guayama, which was really interesting. Talk about us. Talk about that to see how, because people don't know how free agency in BSN works. Like if you are a son of a team, like you gotta wait for things. Talk about that moment. How do you say, okay, let's just step back a little bit, let's see how this works out and start from there?
Yeah, okay, so let's start with after the Kebs. So after the bubble, we lost the championship with Kebs. After that's when I got traded to Guayama. So, with me, I'm a firm believer, everything happens for a reason. And, if you're there, you're there for a reason. So let's make the best out of it. I'm not a guy that's going to go into a situation and be pouting. Like, I'm like, all right, it's a new opportunity. Let's go. I was there with the coach. And I was excited just to, have a different opportunity with another franchise. So I went to Guayama, and honestly, I'm not, no exaggeration. The locker room we had in Guayama, like the brotherhood we made that year, we still have a group chat till this day. In my career, it's one of the best locker rooms I've been a part of. Like, with brotherhood and selflessness and, guys just sacrificing for one another and being cool. Like, rare you get in the locker room where 1 through 12 are all like humble, cool dudes, you know what I mean? And that Guayama year, having that locker room, it made the experience a lot better. Obviously, I was able to play well that year as well, and we did good things. We were like one of the top 3 teams in the league. Like we had over a 20-win season. We just got swept first round in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But as far as a season will go, I did have a great time in Guayama. It's really the thing that turned really was the following year with the free agency stuff that you're talking about.
Yes.
Now, how it used to work in the BSN was that teams could franchise a player, and you could franchise a player up to 2 times. But there was no limit on how many times teams could franchise you. You can just continue to get franchised by these teams. They could just franchise you, trade you, and you can't go nowhere. So in the league, I was like franchised like 8 times. I was never able to be a free agent. Like, so when I was about to be a free agent, they would just, oh, we're gonna franchise you, and they would just franchise you, not to use you, to kind of just to use your value, and then they would trade you. So then you go to the next team, and now that team has 2 times they can franchise you, and then they say, they want to trade you again. Well, now that team has 2 chances to franchise you.
That happened to you.
That happened to me.
You were in San Germán, traded to Kebs, and then traded to Guayama.
San Germán, franchise. I'm the franchise. Got traded to Kebs, franchise. I was supposed to be franchise again. Got to Guayama, franchise. And then that second year, that's when I said, enough's enough. I'm not going to sit here and get franchised. And I made that. And I made a thing against the team. And I told the truth of the situation. as a player association, we were able to get that rule changed to now a team, a player can only be franchised twice in the entire career. And if a team does franchise that player, it comes with financial benefits for that first time they franchise him and the second time they franchise him. But it can only be twice in their entire career. And once that happens, it's over. So good came out of that. You know, I was the one that put myself out on the line, but I'm happy that I could change that, help change that rule for, you know, the future of the players of the league.
That's why I want to talk to you about it, because here in Puerto Rico, we are very, very with that. Like, we know the franchise players, everything, the rule, and some people like me, young people, want to change that rule. But one player changed that rule because he was too vocal with it, and with you especially, and that was Angel Rodriguez. Angel Rodriguez was playing, I think, in Bayamon at that time, and like he literally went to El Vocero. I don't remember right now the newspaper, but he like went and said, "We gotta change this."
Yeah.
And from that, all these players came out. How do you feel about a player from another team? I know that you guys play in the selección junto. How do you feel about another player like he's a rival, protecting you, want you to be free and have the choices that you can as a free agent and being 9 years in the league?
Yeah. You know, if anybody who knows Angel is that type of guy. Like he's a leader in all sense and stand up for what's not right. You know, he's going to stand up for what's right. He's going to stand up for what's right, no matter who's going through it. He saw my situation, and he wasn't going to sit back and be quiet about it. He was going to use it to further expose what was going on. And you know, I had a lot of talks with Angels during that process, because he was like, "No, Frank, like don't worry, like I'm behind you. Like I'm going to make sure that I keep spreading the word and getting people behind us, because this is not something that is right. Because as players, he understands that my problem today could be his problem tomorrow. It's the same rule. It's just affecting me right now. You know what I mean? If it doesn't get changed, well, my problem today could be his problem tomorrow." And you know, having Angel step up, not kind of step up completely, and make a movement and a rally behind this. It meant everything. It meant everything, because at the end of the day, we're more than just basketball players. It's a brotherhood. We all have families. We all try to provide. We use this is our jobs to provide. And when one of us sees one of us down, it should be a natural instinct to help them up. We're all in this together. So Angel going up the bat for me, it meant everything. And I had plenty of conversations with Angel privately, you know, thanking him for doing that, because he didn't have to. He didn't have to show the type of person and the character that he has to kind of step up and, you know, fight for something that wasn't right.
And he's doing things recently to make the players more efficiently, so you can have more money, especially the national players, because an import can come and they can, like, literally the salaries are like, there's a
Yeah.
lot of difference. But here's my question: how mentally you have to be to, like, okay, let's just step back, let's see where this going, and how you have to be mentally to understand that?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. This is our job. This is how we provide for our family. It's just like everybody in the world. If you were to walk away from it or stand up against the people who are at the top of it, and you know you risk your compensation, you know it's a challenging thing to do. But in the long run, you are better in numbers. You know what I mean? It's hard. It's hard to, you know, change something with just one. But when you get a group of people who are all invested in the same thing, and we're standing up against something that's not right, or you know, something that we just want to be, you know, compensated fairly on, it makes it easier when you have your brothers behind you compared to when you're by yourself. So Angel, he's basically the head of the Players Association, and he does a great job of making sure we know what's going on in the league. We know our worth. We know our value. We know what's going on. And he really, strives for us to be, as players, be in a better position in all ways in the league. And as the league continues to grow, the league has seen a significant growth these last 5 years for sure. Like significant. Yeah. Last 2 years have been the craziest years since I've been in the league, since 2012. And with that comes, the players need to fight for more rights.
Yeah, that is true. Let's keep talking about this mental stuff. You went to Siena University in New York. Yep. You went to 2010. You were Player of the Year in the conference. And let's talk about that. You went from Player of the Year in a conference, being a star in the university, to being drafted at the BSN, and then not playing at all. How do you prepare mentally, day by day? Like, okay, I was a star player, but now I'm not seeing any minutes. Like, how do you prepare day by day?
It helps when it's in Puerto Rico and you have a beach. No. I always, like I said, I tell young players all the time, like, you have to stay mentally locked in. You never know what's going to happen. Yeah, I went from Siena. I won 3 conference championships in a row, tournament wins, Player of the Year. I go to Mayaguez. I'm playing. I played overseas. I go to Mayaguez. I don't play at all. But like I said, I had the right mental the whole time. I wasn't like, oh, I'm not playing, so forget everybody. Like F him. Like I'm not. No, I showed up to work every day. I worked on myself. I control what I can control. So I was playing, but I was at practice and I was still working out and I was still getting up extra reps. And I still mentally ready. My mental was, this guy doesn't even know I can play. Oh, but once I get in, he's gonna know. Every game I didn't get in just kept burning a fire in me. Never like tapped out mentally. And that's how you stay ready. You don't let your mental get the best of you. You gotta trust your abilities, trust the work that you have. And like I said, when Eddie finally gave me that opportunity, I had all that built up that I wasn't gonna let it pass. I was like, now tonight's the night. Everyone knows Alex Franklin can play. And like I said, that's the story of Franklin right there.
Basically, there's a player that is teaming with you, Yomai Cruz, La Antorcha Humana. He was like literally in the same situation. Like, he was in Ponce, he wasn't playing, he has his situation, and then he came to Carolina, and Gonzalez like look at the bench and said, "Go in," and he literally went in on fire. Mm-hmm. So, do you think he was like mental? How do you think he prepared himself to be in that position? Like, do you think he was like your mindset, like, okay, Carlos doesn't know that I can shoot threes, like make 15 threes in a row, but he was like, I've outside of the court, I'm done with him every day, I don't know him. He seems like he needed someone that give him confidence, like Carlos, to like do what he does best.
Yeah, he had a tough situation in Ponce. He's a super young player, so dealing with that at a young age, it's harder because he hasn't experienced some of the things that older, more experienced players have had. So all he knows is that moment. And in Ponce, they were playing, would take it out on, he would just, obviously he was handling it the wrong way there, which ended up him beating Carolina. The craziest thing is that I've always been a fan of Yomar. Like, since his first Ponce, I used to tell people all the time, like, I really like that kid from Ponce, the Torch. I like him because it takes a certain amount of confidence to be a shooter like he is, and to be a knockdown, no conscience, finger down, pointed in the. It takes type of dog and confidence to do that.
I have a GIF that I sent to my friends when I hit a parlay or something. It was in the Guaynabo series, I think. Like, he shoot a three and he put his gun in there. That was crazy, man.
Gosh, I love that kid. And you know what helps when a guy like him comes to a team that we had, where we have vets. We had a Philly Rivera. We had a Bimbo Carmona. We had a me. We had vets around him that we can say, all right, Yomar, whatever situation it was in Ponce, that's not here. We can kind of grab and bring him over. How it's going to be handled here. Be ready for your moment. Trust me, like this is how it works. And he bought into he bought into what we do, and that's why you saw the success that Yomar had this year, because it's just a reflection of himself first, but the people he had around him to help him also stay in that moment and stay here mentally.
And you have to be mentally tough to play here in Puerto Rico, because basically the crowd is tough. And whatever you do, we saw in the series against Kebs, Whiteside did something in a play that he was crying, and you went to Carolina the next game, shirts everywhere, signs, like it was crazy, man. You have to be mentally tough to play just here, just to play. You have to be mentally tough, because we shout out everything, man. As fans, we shout out everything. I know that you have heard things like yours. Like, damn.
Yeah, it's fun, man. It's fun. Basketball's a mental game, man. It's a really a mental game, because especially here in Puerto Rico, they're going to say all sorts of things. They're going to have signs in the crowd. They're so passionate that they're going to do whatever it takes for their team to get the edge. You know what I mean? So it is basketball on and off. It's all mental. It's mental because, at some point the physicality and everything, it starts evening out. There's some freaks in the world, obviously, that are just superior. But when you start getting to the higher levels, it's not the athleticism that really separates you. It's the mental aspect. All the greats have killer mentals. You know what I mean? That's what really separates. That's what really takes you to a next level.
Yeah, and basically, I have seen it all years. Guys from not playing to playing and being stars. Like, you have to be mentally prepared for your time. Like, they call your number, you have to go. And we saw with Jesus too in the final. Like, he wasn't playing a lot, but in one game, I think it was game 5 or game 4. It was in Carolina, game 4. He made like 3-4 huge threes in the closing seconds. And Bayamon was in a really big rally. Like, they were like from 18 down to 2 points down. Like, they were in the game in the final minutes. But then Carlos called Jesus to the court, and he makes 3 huge threes. You guys went 3-1 to Bayamon, and the rest is history.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we were talking about earlier. Being prepared, being ready for your moment, your opportunity, especially when you're on good teams. Like, our team is good. Our team is deep. So at any minute, 1 through 12, anybody can get in the game and make an impact. Jesus was ready for his moment, and we all had confidence in Jesus in those type of moments, or he wouldn't have been in there if we didn't have confidence in him. And he went in there and he made big shots. And the best thing about that is, for all of us, we celebrated Jesus making those shots like if it was us. You know what I mean? That's what a real team is about. It's selfless. Like, Jesus went in there, but when we got back in the locker room, we're celebrating Jesus just as if we made the shot. You know what I mean? So that's what's really good about the Carolina team. We try to build a good locker room, and make sure everybody realizes your opportunity could come any night. Maybe tonight's not your night, but it's somebody else's night. It's like the next man up mentality. Like, any given night, you can be called upon on, and you can be impact to this game.
Look, I'm gonna talk Bayamon in 1 second, but the perfect example, our last import that came in as a replacement for Wiley. Like, he was doing nothing the first 2 games. Then he went to game 2 to Carolina, and like, he took over that 4th quarter. Like, he took that moment and said, let's play ball. And he was like really good. I don't remember the name right now off the top of my head.
Marvin Jones.
Marvin Jones. Yes. Like, he was really good for the less time that he was, because he was here like for 2 weeks, and being like, you came in as an import, don't know the league, never been playing here, and you are in one of the biggest team in Puerto Rico, and then you have to play. You're in the starting 5, and you have to go out there and ball against Condi, which he was out of this world, man. He's still out of as well, how he plays.
It's like it's hard. Like what we were talking about earlier, how like you have to build chemistry when new guys come into your team and go out of your team. It's not easy. This is not 2K. It's not easy just to walk into a brand new situation, brand new teammates at a championship level atmosphere and be successful. And credit to him for, just being able to walk in there and be able to contribute and help them out. But like I said, it's hard. This is not a video game. You can't just plug in 3 players and expect to win a championship off their names. No, it's bigger than that. It's chemistry. It's knowing each other. It's everything. It's a team game.
We have seen in the NBA. Let's talk about the big 3 of Brooklyn: Irving, Durant, Harden, 3 of the best players in the NBA. They didn't play too much time with them, and they just got on their separate way. It's true. It's not 2K. You cannot build a team without chemistry, and you guys have the perfect chemistry. And now to this year, you're champions. You're defending the champs. How do you prepare this season? How you going into this season as a champion? And you have to now. Everybody wants to beat you. Everybody wants that championship. So how do you go to this season? You obviously had a good trade, bringing new players. How do you feel about this season?
Well, this season, like you said, when you championship, now the target's on your back. But it's not pressure. It's not pressure. It's more of a privilege to be in that situation, and you got to embrace that. So, I think early on in our meetings and in our preseason, that's going to be the focus. We got to embrace this target. We got to work even harder because we're not just trying to be a one and done. Like we're trying to defend this thing, and that's going to take our best effort every night. Because on the other side of that court, that team is coming for us. You know what I mean? So for me, when you're receiving everybody's best all year, it only makes you better. Iron sharpens iron. So when we're seeing everybody's best night in and night out, that's going to prepare us for that type of playoff basketball. And, is it going to be a perfect season? No, a season is ups and downs. And, it's just all about clicking and gaining momentum at the right moment. But going into this season, our mental got to be even sharper. We got to work even harder because, like I said, we're trying to defend what everybody's trying to take. So that's what it is.
Okay, let's talk about your game day. How does Alex Franklin prepare for a game at home?
My game day, it's funny because if people would see my game day routines, they'd be like, this dude's a freak of nature. Because, I can only eat 4 hours before the game. That's it. During the morning and stuff, I'm chilling. So I'll probably eat a plate of pasta, and that's kind of instilled in me since college. In college, we were on such a time regiment, 4 hours before the game, we go eat, we get here, and I did that for 4 years, and we had so much success. It carried on to the next level for me. So it's a 4 hour before the game type thing, and then I can't eat anything else after that. Chilling, and then that's it. Really, I don't really listen to much music. I don't listen to music before the game because it gets me.
Really?
No, I don't listen to music. I'll listen to whatever they're playing in the arena, but having headphones on, it gets me a little jittery. I don't like that.
What's your favorite pastime?
Favorite pastime? Just being a dad. Being a dad, being able to enjoy those moments because, during the season it's so hectic. You don't really get to enjoy the little moments. You're always going and coming back. Just taking my daughter to school, taking her to the trampoline park, going to school, but just being dad, it's the best pastime you can really have.
So you got a daughter, and you got another one on the way. I saw it on a story the other day. I didn't know your wife was pregnant, so congratulations. How far she is?
She is 30 weeks. 30
weeks. That's you're almost there.
Almost there. So yeah, the due date is February, end of February.
Before the season. So that's good. You got that little time to be with a newborn and season starts.
Autopilot, like nothing can prepare you. It's like you get thrown right into the fire. When a newborn you're thrown right into the fire. Once you get back from the hospital and you're like, all right, this is our responsibility now. A little human we have to take care of. It's game mode, but I'm telling you, it's the best feeling in the world. You know, there's gonna be some sleepless nights, but it's all worth it. You know.
Boy or girl?
Girl.
Girl. Another one.
Full girl dad over here. Full girl.
Everybody that I know that is a man, full girl dad. The boyfriend of my sister is the same. He wants a daughter. He doesn't want a boy.
Yeah, I love it. Now that I have one, like that's all I know. You know, that's all I know. So for me to have another one, it's gonna be really cool.
So Alex, I gotta talk about this. There's a fantasy league coming in to Puerto Rico. It will have all this professional sports in Puerto Rico. Talk us about that project a little bit. I know that you are a part owner. So let's talk about fantasy sport PR.
I think it's fantasy sports PR, man. You know, the founder, Danny Flores, is a story how we met each other is kind of really crazy. We actually met each other during the press conference before the championship game. We met each other, and he was talking about a project that he had back then, and he didn't say specifically what it was, but it's just crazy that we were just talking. I didn't know him from anybody. I just happened to get there, and we were just talking, and then fast forward, you know, now when they contacted me, I had no clue it was him. And when we talked on like a Zoom, and I seen him, and he was like, "Hey, you remember me?" I was like, "Whoa, this is crazy." So yeah, man, fantasy sports coming to the island. Fantasy sports PR. The app's gonna be available Christmas on the app stores, Google Play, web design. I mean, on the web version, and it's just something that's going to bring more engagement to the fans for the league. If you're a sports fan, you probably played fantasy, the NBA, and if you played it, you know, it's every sports fan's kind of, you know, passion, like to manage a team and to manage players, you know. So for us, it's just that to Puerto Rico fans. Puerto Rico deserves that. The BSN deserves that. The BSN is growing at such a rapid rate that when you add fantasy to it, now it's just a whole next level of engagement for fans to, you know, be invested in players on their team. It's not the same watching a Bayamon Carolina game when just as a fan, or watching a Bayamon Carolina game, Trevor Water as your point guard on your fantasy team and Mojica as your shooter guard. You know what I mean? So I just think it's something I know it's something. I know it's something that the fans are really going to enjoy.
So I like that idea. I think that was like the missing point that the league and Puerto Rico sports needs, because it gets that fan engagement, man. And we are a fan engagement league. That's 100%. Like the league to survive needs the fans. Like you say, from 5 years to today, the league has been growing, because it was a time like Bayamon is one of the leaders in assistance, and they get like 6,000-7,000 people a night. So, and Bayamon was really low, like was in the thousand hundreds, and you go out there in the island, it was worse. How do you think Bad Bunny, Anuel, Jadiel Molina, these owners have bring a lot of fans to the league, and has you seen the difference from 5 years to today?
Absolutely. You know, you're talking about Bad Bunny, a global icon, owning a team in Puerto Rico. You're talking about Molina, one of the greatest catchers to ever, you know, play in the MLB. You're about other guys, those Ozuna, you know, another icon. Anytime you bring in those type of figures to the league, and you know, the growth of the league is just automatically go up. You know, the exposure they bring, and the, you know, the crowd and the fans that they can draw just alone, is significant. You know what I mean? The fact that they own a team and they're invested and they're putting money into the league and they're trying to grow the league, and other owners are coming in, even other owners who might not be, artists, but are successful in their own realm and are trying to make this league grow. It's a win-win for everyone, for the fans, for the players, for the league. Uh, the better the owners, the bigger the owners, the more they invest, the bigger Ascend is going to continue to grow year by year.
There's a idea that I love, and I'm gonna talk to you about it. You've been in the league a lot of time. You know how things work with the municipalities and the owners. You have an idea. Do you think that in order for the BSN to be in another level, like for example, let's say that Bad Bunny wants to buy the Roberto Clemente, the Coliseum, and he wants to be the owner of that. Do you think that that is going to change differently? Locker room, basketball court, seats, pricing, everything's going to go up, but in a better way. Do you think that if that happens, do you think that it will be good for the league? Like
I mean,
for the owners of the team to own the
to own
courts.
the arena compared to like the government owning it or the city municipality owning it. Is that
Yeah, because for example, Bayamon, the our court is owned by the municipality. It's not owned by Yadi. So if Yadi wants to do something, he has to go straight to the municipality to get the permission, to see if they have funds, and to see if they can do an upgrade to the court. That is happening in Fajardo. That's why Macau left to Caguas because they didn't have the support to the municipality. Do you think like if the municipality said you want the team, you have to buy the court and it's all yours, and
Yeah.
they put it as a private?
Well, honestly, it's like two sides of that coin, because municipalities that do well with their courts, the owners can rely on them, and they work together in getting it. But on the other municipalities that kind of struggle in the courts, and like the Guadas or the Fajardos, they have trouble, then it puts owners and teams in bad situations. Now, owners do, obviously it's going to be a bigger investment that they're going to have to make in order to own a gym like that. That's why I said it's a two-sided coin, because the ones that do well and they contribute and they help, and the owners and them have a great relationship, then it works perfect. But to your point, if an investor came in and wanted to own their own gym and run it their way, how they wanted to, I mean, of course it would run easier, because not answering to anybody. There is no middleman. You're the head. You decide what's going on in your court. Is it a bigger investment? Absolutely. But with some of the players that are players, and I mean figures that are coming in as owners, they have to do it.
Yeah, I know. Because there's a thing that goes on in Europe, in USA, and it's, for example, where the Warriors play is not called the Golden State Warriors Stadium, it's called Chase Center Stadium. I don't know, for 4 years, and they invest 500 millions because it's an NBA team. But let's say, for example, Banco Popular wants to invest in a team and wants to put 2 millions, and goes to Cangrejera and said, hey, let's put in my name on the court. I'll give you 2 millions per year. Do you think if that happens, like the municipalities say, okay, we can rebrand the stadiums and get money from it, us and the team? Do you think that can change a little bit on the earnings of the players and the conditions of the stadiums?
Absolutely. Like, it's something I never even thought about. Like, it's crazy that you brought that up. It's a great idea, like for like Banco Popular to be like, you know what, we're going to be that first company to be like, all right, we want to be the court, like we want to have our name on the arena, like the Banco Popular Arena, and they've contributed money. Anything that's contributed money to the league, to the organization, obviously all down. The more money in the league, the more sponsorships, everything, that obviously translates to players getting paid more as well. And that's what we're fighting for, like as the league grows and we're seeing these numbers come up and more money is getting to the teams and more views are going to the games and it's just growing bigger and bigger. Well, you can't hold players to the same financial regulations from 10 years ago that nowadays are way beyond and above what anything we couldn't even imagine, 5 years ago. You understand what I'm saying? So I think anything that contributes to growth in the league obviously trickles.
Because when this is the thing that I'm read and I know. For example, the Chase Center, that arena is the Warriors. That's the arena, but the name they rebranded and they get money from it. And I think that, for example, here in Puerto Rico, there's a lot of places that, hey, historic names, historic players, but we are an island that is getting older, and there's a lot of young people that don't know a lot of the roots from our history. For example, in Bayamon, we know Ruben Rodriguez because he's still active with Vaquero, but let's say Iran Bitorn. We all know that he was one of the first players to come in the MLB, but 15, 13, 20-year-old, I said, he doesn't know anything about Iran Bitorn. And that's part of our problem. Not talking the history of sports, but if you put in the Iran Bitorn and you said Banco Popular is going to have the name Estadio Banco Popular, I think that's going to attract investors to invest in the baseball league, to invest in different aspects. And that is something that I have talked with a lot of different content creators, with a lot of different people that are in the sports. Like, I think for us to move on at another step, I think that is a step that we have to do. I think that the municipalities and the owners has to get involved and say, okay, nobody knows really this guy. It's been 20 years. We don't get any investment from this. Like, everything has to be in a process. And I think that's a way that teams can do and get money, and the municipality too. And it's a win-win situation, basically.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that's a great idea, and it's something that's worth discussing and having conversations about. Because as the age grows, everything else has to grow with it. We can't be doing 2010 stuff in 2023 going into 2024. You understand? And
and don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong, because Ruben Rodriguez is a legend. You can do different things to honor that name, but like, first, the brand, Vaqueros, Gigantes, Piratas, those brands you have to market very well, and especially in a world that social media is worldwide, and you bring in NBA players, so you're bringing attention from around the world. So I think that's an idea that we can do and get it done. I'm not saying every arena in Puerto Rico, but let's say two or three.
At least have the conversation. Like, having a conversation is everything. And like you said, as the times are growing and as the exposure of this league is getting bigger and bigger, well, that's going to bring bigger players and bigger figures that are going to be coming to this island. And I'm not talking just as like players basketball. I'm talking about as figures, as in companies and brands that might want to, hey, like, I see that Puerto Rico is doing these type of numbers. We would love to, I don't know, T-Mobile. We want to sponsor them or whatever. You know what I mean? But I like where your idea is at, and I think that's worthy of a conversation to be had.
Also, there's a thing, like, we have now a big exposure. Let's talk about this. Ex NBA players are coming to the league. Howard, the other day, I don't know if you saw it, tweeted like the next, and he put in Puerto Rico. If Howard comes to the league, how much do you think that's gonna evolve the next season? Because you will have Whiteside, you will have Brandon Knight, the Marcus Cousins, maybe he will come from Taiwan, and now you got Howard. So you got 4 big NBA names. That's a lot of exposure for the league.
I think this year is probably going to be the most special league that year in the league. I think that last year kind of laid the blueprint when we got the DeMarcus Cousins and the Whitesides and the Brandon Knights and the Greg Rose and Alfred Paytons and Tyreek Evans and Lance Steve. They already laid the blueprint of what could be here. You know what I mean? So I think now that since there was those guys that came there last year, that other players are going to feel more comfortable going there. DeMarcus Cousins says, "Hey, John, he's cool with John Wall. Hey, listen, this is a great situation for you." Oh, maybe John Wall comes down and John Wall talks to Isaiah Thomas, and Isaiah Thomas comes down. I think it's just what happened last year only can just improve what could happen this year with big name players and the amount of exposure that we get.
It's December and we got two names, John Wall and Howard. It's December. It's not when we get closer to the season, there's a lot of names that's gonna pop up.
I think I told you, I really believe that this is gonna be the most historical year in the BSN's history as far as talent, exposure, and players coming.
So Franklin, being an hour conversation, I love it. I hope we have a part 2 someday in person in a studio or something. Any message to the Gigantes fans?
Oh man, the message is be ready for another great season. We're excited. We're ready to defend what's ours. We're not ready to let that go. Guys should be very excited for what we have plans in the store that's bringing in. So be ready.
So you heard him, Carolina. Listo para la próxima temporada. Alex, thank you for being here in the channel. My first interview. So, gracias, mi gente. Espero que les haya gustado esta entrevista. Nos vemos en la próxima.
Appreciate you.
You're welcome, man.